Part 2, Chapter 15, Never Let Me Go, is really a turning point for Kathy and Tommy's relationship. In the beginning of this chapter, we remember from back in the prior chapter that they are in Norfolk looking for Ruth's possible or Ruth's potential clone. So Ruth would be cloned from this person. And Rodney insists that he saw her possible here. Well, it's on this journey that Kathy and Tommy kind of break off. And on my book, page 169, we see Tommy sort of bring up to Kathy, I might as well tell you, in that shop we were in, they had this shelf with loads of records and tapes. So I was looking for the one you lost that time. Do you remember, Kath? Except I couldn't remember what it was anymore. So clearly they're talking about the Songs After Dark, the Never Let Me Go song. And Tommy's so thoughtful that he wanted to find this for Kathy. Now, I think it's important to look back. We sort of talked about motif earlier in the book. Motif with music and other objects coming along in the novel. So a motif is an image, sound, action, or other figure that has symbolic significance. So we mentioned the song Never Let Me Go. What is a motif? What does this symbolize for their relationship? Both Tommy and Kathy have always wanted to find the truth, both when they were in Hailsham and both now. This just makes them stronger as a couple or as a pair. They have become stronger together, and really their relationship starts to develop in these chapters. So going back to Ruth's possible, they do find her, but she doesn't really look like Ruth, so they kind of disregard that. And both Chrissy and Rodney, the veterans, are still obsessed with these donations. And Tommy sort of brings up to Kathy, hey, what is it about this deferment process? And it's on page 174. The one about people having their donations deferred if they're really in love? I never heard of anything like that. Did you? And it's Tommy who just kind of makes this connection with Madame earlier in the novel when we have the galleries. So the students are making these pieces of art, poetry, all kinds of art that you could create that goes to the gallery, and eventually she takes it. So earlier we kind of talked about what is so important about a 9-year-old's poem, right? And Tommy hypothesizes that in these galleries, I'm looking at page 175, with these galleries, suppose two people say they're truly in love and they want extra time to be together. Then you see, Kath, there has to be a way to judge if they're really telling the truth. That they aren't just saying they're in love, just to defer their donations. You see how difficult it could be to decide? And what does this have to do with these pictures, right? Madame told Roy that things like pictures, poetry, all that kind of stuff, she said they revealed what you were like inside. She said they revealed your soul. So if these students can reveal to the guardians that they truly are in love, then maybe they could have time deferred. And eventually Tommy tells Kathy that Ruth has been thinking about this, and she wants to defer the process. So we kind of go back to the theme we have here. We have looking back on the past, and we have innocence of the child, which we talked about in earlier chapters. Kathy has always been reflecting back on the past. She is still being nostalgic. Even when they're at the cottages, it's in the past. Now we see Kathy is becoming so obsessed with her relationship with Tommy that she will do anything to get Ruth away from him. Another theme that we see is innocence of the child. And Kathy is still very innocent. You can see that Ruth, she kind of says what's on her mind, and Kathy is still a little bit naive in a way. So by the end of the chapter, Ruth physically separates Kathy and Tommy in the car. But Kathy just kind of thinks to herself, no one really brought up Ruth's possible or anything, and she didn't mention the Judy Bridgewater tape because she's probably thinking, well, she doesn't want to upset Ruth, right? But she does mention It felt like the three of us were close again, and I didn't want anything to come along and break that mood. So she probably is assuming that this Judy Bridgewater tape will break their friendship in some sort of way, but we'll see what happens with that.